All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. On a Wednesday, glad to have you on board. Let's go ahead and go around the horn and get started. Got a lot to talk about today. Dow futures down about 280 points. NASDAQ futures down about 1.66%. Most of that is on Microsoft. They had their earnings yesterday. We'll go over that here in a second. They popped higher yesterday as high as 254.79. It is now trading at 234.59, sitting at that 200 MA on the 1 hour chart, 1 hour candle chart, 20-day chart. S&P 500 futures, we talked about a retest yesterday, a retest of the breakout, just to wait. Looks like we're getting around that area right here around 39.90, 38, 39.85. So we'll go over that chart here in a second. That's down 1.08%. Russell 2000 futures kind of moving with the Dow, 1879. That's down about 0.84%. Crude oil, pretty much flat, $80 a barrel. Gasoline futures, $2.64 a gallon, down 2.23%. Gold futures are down as well, even though the market is down. So again, kind of that safety, it's a hedge against the market. It doesn't work, at least today or right now. That's down about 0.65%, 1922. The dollar's marginally higher, 0.13%. That's probably hurting gold and silver. Silver down 0.84%. Copper down about 0.70%. So commodities are taking a hit, with the dollar being relatively flat in the past, let's say, week and a half. That's what we can call it. And again, we've just been watching and watching and watching, waiting for that level to break of around 101.60, but it hasn't happened yet. Euro dollar 108.70. That's down about 17 pips. Dollar yen 129.98. That's down about 20 pips. Pound dollar down 27 pips, 123.15. So again, the dollar being a little higher is not affecting Forex as much, as you can see, but it is affecting commodities and crypto. 22,630 for Bitcoin futures, down about 1.89%. Kind of follows pretty closely with the NASDAQ. If the NASDAQ's down, more likely Bitcoin's going to be down. That's all lumped into that risk-on asset environment. So when you have risk on, you tend to see high beta names, NASDAQ, Bitcoin, commodities go a little bit higher depending on the situation. Risk off would be, energy going higher, the dollar going higher, dividend stocks, consumer staples going higher. Gold usually will go higher, but today's being red because of the dollar. So Ethereum 1555, that's down 3.89% if I didn't repeat that already. 3.484 on a 10-year, similar to the dollar. The yields in the dollar are not really moving the market as much, but again, still down slightly. That's a good sign. So again, we'll hang our hat on that at least for now. In terms of the volatility index, right now we're trading at 2028. So again, the VIX is not telling us a ton of fear. We're still above 20, but historically speaking on the daily, if we go and expand this, we're right below that support, or right near that support level that we had back in August. So kind of hovering around there. This question is, do we break further down, which we can. But again, if we do, you're taking a look at possibly 15. That was about mid-2021, as low as it got. As low as it got. The question is, do we get there? Again, that remains to be seen. We need some more good news, and we need some good news. How about that? Microsoft's earnings, the market did not cheer that at all. We'll go over that here in a second. And then let's see, the dollar we talked about. Okay, let's go ahead and go over Microsoft. I'm a shareholder, so it's kind of important to me, obviously. I talked about Microsoft in regards to the investment club video that I sent out this weekend. I really like that ChatGPT AI investment. Satya Nadella from Microsoft was talking about it. So again, let's take a look at their Microsoft quarterly revenue across all businesses. You could see it here again, Q4 2022, about 51.87 billion. That's more than the Q2 of 2022, higher than Q3 of 2022. But again, growth is slowing. Again, they're just the things that I've read about this article, and mostly on the call, bits and pieces about it, is that they've lowered their fiscal 2023 growth from 7.1% to 4.8% year over year, 10% plus year over year constant currency guidance rescinded. That's the dollar. Remember, the dollar we talked about, that constant currency. As macroeconomy continues to weigh on results with tough comparables and lowest commercial bookings growth in 5 years. This is from Jefferies. But again, what we are seeing here is more of a slowing than it is just a complete stop in growth. Now, again, you have to say the comparables. 2021, money was a little cheaper. So again, you're going to have, in terms of interest rates, you're going to have better earnings. 2022 was higher interest rates, so earnings are going to go down. Growth takes a hit. In terms of Microsoft, is there anything about the call I didn't like? I think that what they're doing is being very prudent, and I trust Satya Nadella and that management team to ride the ship. It's not like they have negative earnings, granted. But I want to go over this here in a second. But Microsoft trading around what, 234 now. You're probably trading right around this area here. This gets you to the same level that we were back into November. That's it, basically. We're back to November levels on Microsoft. Not a lot to go by here. If you own it or you own it in ETF, you're really not doing much here. Is it a point to buy yet? I think with Microsoft, what they're doing is that you have this macroeconomic fear or worry about the Federal Reserve and hiking interest rates and a challenging rate environment, because we don't know. And again, I talked about that on Investment Club and on the newsletter, that it's not an investable market yet. We don't have clarity yet on what the Fed's going to do. We may have estimates, we may have educated guesses, but that's not exactly what the reality is quite yet. Have we gotten a nice move higher? Sure, we got a nice move higher really since, 2 Fridays ago. We had a nice bump on Friday on OPEX. I think Microsoft's being prudent by saying, lowering guidance in a, lower macro environment, just like they'll raise guidance in a bull market. So again, I'm not too worried about that either. I didn't have much risk on. I took a flyer on Q's half position on calls. That's probably going to be red today. But again, I went for the lotto there. Other than that, we did not trade yesterday. And here's the reason why. Let's take a look at the S&P 500, just SPX SPY. We'll just keep it that way. Right now, we're trading at 40.16. We'll go consider it 39, let's say 39.64 is where we're going to be at the open, possibly, due to fair value of futures. We're really, guys, back at levels back in May and June. It's really since May, we've been kind of stuck in this big range. We've broken out, we broke below, but again, still stuck here. So again, if you own a VOO, if you own an SPY, if you own an index fund, really nothing has changed. There's no real edge to want to go ahead and want to buy here or run out and buy. I think it's still a trader's market. I still think that's still paramount here. You can still take advantage of price swings. If you're a scalper, if you're a swing trader, sure. But as an investor, unless you're doing dollar cost averaging over time, like you're doing your 401k, IRA, or what have you, again, that's pretty much the best way to go here. I wouldn't want to put so much capital into the market right now, or additional capital into the market, when we don't have that clarity yet. We still need to see what the Fed's going to do on Feb 1 FOMC. We still need to see rest of the earnings. Microsoft is not the whole market, but it's a big part of it. Tesla reports today. We have GDP numbers today. Preliminary GDP numbers, that will come today, that's tomorrow. Preliminary GDP is tomorrow. We have core PCE price index, another inflationary report that the Fed uses. That'll be on Friday, and today we have crude oil inventory. So not much today in terms of economic data. So again, fat and flat, that's where we've been at, fat and flat, 41.55 to around 38.05. Again, guys, we're literally at the same level that we've been back in May, and that's around, 7 months ago? So again, just not a lot going on after that big fall in April. Since then, we got to May, and then we've been kind of stuck. Again, we had a breakout, and we had a breakdown. So 1 and 1. Right now, we're pretty much right in the middle of that. We had that trend line. We reversed it. We're probably going to end up right now at the 200 MA. So let's go and take a look at it. Let's go to the daily on S&P 500 futures. What I was talking about yesterday was retesting 39.90, the breakout. So again, right above the 200 MA. That's good news. We're back below the trend line. Not the best news. So let's go ahead and take a look at S&P 500. I'm going to go and answer this question for Leo. Leo Molina is asking about SPY. So let's just do SPY this way. So SPY, we were right around here, kind of hovering yesterday. What we talked about on Discord and on the morning note yesterday, as you watched, we were looking for a retest of the breakout. So what does that mean? We had a breakout here, right? Nice move higher on OPEX. And then Monday we continued higher. Again, this is the OPEX breakout, or continuation, the rise higher. And here's the Monday breakout. We can call it that. So here's where we actually started, right around 395.82. All we're doing is retesting that breakout. So again, if we retest that breakout, Leo, right around 395, and we hold that, the bulls have to defend that. And where did I write this? I wrote it on Twitter as well. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. If I can get it for you guys. I had it open. I hate when that happens. Let me get that for you. Next time I will be ready. Okay, here we go. This was written yesterday at 9:38 this morning, yesterday morning, because we talked about it on YouTube. I go, let's see if the market retests yesterday's move around 39.90 and 4,000. We didn't get there yesterday, but Microsoft's earnings got us there. Now we're trading around on S&P 500 futures right at 39.90. So far, can the bulls defend that? That's basically what I want to know. Can the bulls hold on to these levels? So again, in a good market, we usually get retests and then we get defending levels of support. And again, if the buyers can hold that support, guys, then it shows a structural different type of move. It's basically saying resistance is now support, just like in a bear market where support becomes a new resistance. So again, if we kind of stay around here, Leo, right around 390, 395.54, if we can hover around there, maybe bounce back to around 397, I think that's a green light to go along to the 400 calls, in my opinion. But it has to hold. And if it doesn't hold, then I'd want to go short to 390. And again, see if we can hold that support. And if that support holds, great. We can play calls back to, you guessed it, the previous breakout to 395. So we can kind of ping pong a bit, kind of scalp a little bit, see what we can get. But as of right now, we're holding. So I wouldn't do anything yet. Let's see how the open goes. I want to see how Microsoft goes. Don't forget that when the banks reported, JPM and all these other guys, they were red midday for the most part and then flipped on a dime right midday. So just be careful. If you have puts running in here today, I would take a look at closing that and seeing if we actually hold that retest. So far it is, even with Microsoft priced in currently. So around 395.75. That's kind of the level I'm gonna look at. So let's do 395.84. How's that? 395.85. I was born in 85. 85 is a good number. So here you go. We'll place that alert there at 395.85. If that can hold, and then we can bounce a bit, I will want to play the 400 calls on SPY. The only problem is that you have Tesla earnings after the bell, and Tesla's a part of SPY. So we know the drill. Same deal with earnings, same deal with everything. Just watch the Tesla earnings. And again, it's not just the earnings, it's the reaction. The reaction is key. So again, I'm expecting this retest. If we break below, which would be below 395, let's just say. If we get below 395, I would like the 390 puts to retest Friday's break above. And if that doesn't hold, well then guys, we're gonna go to 380, which would be right around, let's see, 380 SPY, right there, 379. That would what, be 3,800 S&P? Yeah, about 3,800 S&P. Very, very similar. So again, that's what we're watching. That's a very, very big level. But again, that's 3,900 S&P maybe. Let's see if I can compare. No, 3,900 right here. We have 380 here. Okay, so really the level that we're looking at for major support is this dotted line here, right around 390 to 390 on SPY. So again, let's see if we get that retest. Let's see if it holds. And let's see if it bounces moving forward. Let's see if the bulls can defend that. If the bulls cannot defend that, the buyers cannot defend that level, you're going to continue to go down to around 390, which would be a back test of the breakout on Friday, which is completely natural. That wouldn't be a big deal in terms of trading. Really what I'm expecting, at least short term, if the Fed does play ball, maybe 25 and pause, we're just going to get back to where we were back in December. On that December CPI where Powell spoke, and then we continued to tank, which was right around 410, and then we came back all the way down to around 376. So again, really all of this is just back testing, trying to back test the previous move that we had in December, and I think that's what we get, and then that'll be another crossroads moving forward. So kind of the theme that we're moving forward is if we stay below 410, is really we're on a fork in the road. Could we go ahead and actually reject the trend line again, even though we broke above it and we've settled above it? Fine, we could. But again, do we get a recapture of the December pre-Powell speaking levels? And that's what my first target is, especially if earnings come in better than expected, especially if the Fed comes in at least with a 25 raise. and talks of a pause. I'll take talks of a pause, but a real pause would be an ignition for risk assets. But that's what I'm seeing. Do you like Intuit? Intuit, I've seen their commercials everywhere. Keep in mind, Intuit is going to get a little bit of a boost due to tax season. We know this is probably their biggest revenue season, tax season around January through around April, and so on and so forth. So I don't have much on terms of their books or their earnings, but in terms of their stock, it's not much edge here. You'd have to get above 440 to even make it interesting that you want to buy, and then you could target the August highs, which are similar to the S&P highs, 490. So again, I would wait for a breakout of 440 to get to 490, and then it would be a trade. I don't think I'd want to own Intuit. Nothing against the company, I just probably wouldn't want to own it. Hope that answers your question, Interactive. All right, so now we know what we're looking for. 395.85 is the support. That'll be the back test of the breakout. If you're looking for the other back test of the last breakout, that would be around 389.60. If you break below the alert level, again, don't have to jump into anything right away, but again, then I would be taking a look at maybe the 392 to 390 puts, and again, depending on time. The problem is here, guys, is Tesla. Tesla reports after the bell. So again, I don't know if you want to go ahead and add risk ahead of such a binary event. You know, Microsoft, it looked good in the morning, and then for all we know, it could get bought up this morning. So again, it's all about what happens at the open. It's all about what happens at the close. It's all about levels. It's all about the macro. But at least for right now, bonds and yields are pretty muted. There's not a lot of movement there. A lot of the focus is right now on earnings reports showing some growth, and they're forecasting if they actually better than expected forecast. Microsoft is not in that camp. But remember, if you remember the call we had yesterday on YouTube, the morning note, we talked about how much companies were beating their estimates. Microsoft was standing, obviously. Microsoft being the second largest weighted on the S&P, obviously it's pretty important. Boeing also reported earnings. If you want to take a look at those earnings, they're on Twitter. Feel free. Let's go ahead and take a look at Amazon. Gundrop is asking. So let's take a look at Amazon here on the hourly, again, kind of breaking down support. There's a key level to watch. There is a gap to fill here at 90.34. So let's go ahead and place here our little circle to show our gap. And that's right at 90.23. We're trading at 92.85. So we're pretty much at a crossroads. You can use the 50 MA on the daily chart as your relative support on Amazon currently. But other than that, there's not much to go by. I think Amazon reports next week. I have to confirm that when we get the actual earnings calendar, which I usually get on Saturdays from Twitter. But you can also look it up whenever you want. So let's go and take a look at Amazon earnings. I want to say it's next week, and it should be. The earnings date for Amazon will be, let's see if I can find it, February 2nd. So yeah, it is next week, next Thursday actually. So the Super Bowl is next week in terms of markets. We have FOMC on Wednesday. We have earnings all next week, the big boys. Meta reports, I think Alphabet reports, and also Amazon reports. I don't know if Apple reports next week. I want to say they report the week after. Let's see that. Earnings report, Apple. Earnings call on Apple will be on the 2nd. Wow, we got all next week. All next week. We have Apple, Amazon, Meta, and Google, Alphabet, all reporting next week, with Wednesday being the FOMC meeting. Oh boy, it's going to be a fun one. Amazon does not have a lot of edge here. So again, I wouldn't want to touch it, at least for a trade. If you're looking to get a run up on earnings, then you want to go ahead and make sure you actually get a bounce before we do anything. But this circle here, that's your gap fill, right around 91. We could fill that. If we get to 91, then it gets compelling to see if we can get a bounce. I think that would probably hold that 50. That would probably be the level I'm looking for to go long, just to go to 95. That's pretty much it. If you break down below the gap fill around 89, which is that 20 MA, then you're going to continue to go down. And I think there's another gap, actually. Yeah, there's another gap here right around 86.51, a small one. I'll go ahead and highlight that as well. You can see it there, right around 86.47 on the daily. If you get there, so we have two gaps to fill below. We have one giant one here. If you remember, Netflix had a giant gap to fill, and that finally filled. Amazon has one too. So again, you're right in that fork of the road where we don't have clarity. We just have to wait and go from there. So hey, you're welcome, Juan. Thank you. Next level to buy Palantir. Palantir. Looking at Palantir here, we had a little bit of glitch in terms of NYSE. I tweeted about that yesterday. Look at this big daily candle move. In order to buy Palantir, you got to understand this, that it could get a lot lower, especially if interest rates rise. So again, if you're looking to buy Palantir and you were willing to hold it, no matter what, saying, hey, I'm going to hold it for at least 5 years and wait for growth, then yeah, go for it. But I'd rather wait for around $9.50, which is that key level of resistance on the weekly. At least see some kind of demand for this stock. Right now, you're not seeing it. Conrad's asking, I don't understand why there's not an investor market. Isn't it the best time DCA and the market's in dumps? Yes, that's exactly what I said. If you're doing DCA, none of this matters. Like I do, I DCA, who cares? But I'm talking about putting additional capital into a name or so. Let's say you say, hey, I got a couple extra grand for my tax refund or whatever, and I want to buy this stock. I don't think we're quite there yet in terms of picking stocks because we don't have the macro information that we need to give us some clarity. I still say that the bottom is in, fine, October 11th, right, 3,500. But again, doesn't mean that we can't retest it. Doesn't mean we can't get back to 3,800. So right now, DCA is king. DCA is probably the easiest way to invest. I agree 100%, Conrad. I said that this morning. If you're doing dollar cost averaging every paycheck, every month, 401k, IRA, none of this matters. But again, if you're looking to add some money to work, maybe you're adding to your IRA or a SEP IRA if you are a business owner. Again, you're really waiting for more clarity to do so. So again, that's why I'm more of the camp of waiting. I think it's more of a trader's market. Again, these retests and these breakouts, again, those are all opportunities for traders. And again, we are getting higher lows. I mean, let's be real. The trend is higher. But again, expect choppiness. This is the way it goes. You're not going to get one straight shot up to the moon. It doesn't work that way, at least now. What's interesting too, and I did say this to Nick yesterday, we were talking about the market, which we do pretty much every day. Keep in mind that in May, since May, we've added right around 75, 75, 75. That's about 150. Yeah, that's about 225. We'll say about 250 basis points of hiking. And yet we're at the same exact level that we were in May. I mean, call for what you want, but even in a higher interest rate market, at least the market is back to levels since May. And it's been fat and flat. Not exactly an investor's market, to be honest. But well, again, we'll see where we go. Again, we got next week the Super Bowl, right? FOMC, you got all these earnings. It's going to be a fun one. And again, I think we're going to get more clarity by Feb 1 to see where we get moving forward. Because all this, guys, could be a complete and actual destructive bear trap for the bulls, I mean, or a really, really good move for the bears. So again, does this trend line hold? Do we finally break and continue momentum higher? Again, do we recapture those levels from December? 4,100 is what we want. Just get us back to December, and then we can see where we go from there. Pre-pow. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Thank you, Leo, Interactive, Gumdrop, G, Juan, Christopher, and Conrad. Appreciate you guys checking in as always. Make sure to hit that like button if you like these videos. We'll go ahead and leave it there. Have a great rest of your morning. Again, the idea is the retest level. Make sure to have your alerts for that because you may get a quick bounce off these retest levels. So again, don't be surprised if we do end up green for the day. Have a great rest of your morning. I will see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.